For golfers who like the big city, there's no better place to play than Royal Selangor. It's a playground too for a huge variety of wild beasts. Beware the thieving monkeys who love playing with golf balls. There are over 150 different species of birds. While prehistoric amphibians lurk threateningly in the undergrowth, a naturalist's haven. The first day here dawned bright and sunny, if a little humid. Scotland's Alistair Forsyth, more used to playing in winter woolies and thermals, made light of the unfamiliar conditions to head the leaderboard. Alongside Sheikh Barry Lane, who conjured up an inspired spell of putting on the back nine. This on the 16th. Followed by his fourth birdie in a row on the par 3 17th. Michael Campbell was among the afternoon players who were to have their rounds interrupted by the angry gods. But not before Nick Faldo had shown that his putting form of last week was no brief aberration. The great man has made a promising start to 2002, and there are real signs of a return to former glories. But then came the storm. Wind first, then the thunder, lightning, and in rain. Play suspended, but they did meet again for an hour or so at the end of the day. And this is how it looks after round one. Lane and Forsyth at the top, Ricardo Gonzalez, Harmeet Karlan, Ignacio Garrido all in there at 6 under. Another very warm welcome then to the second day's play in the Carlsberg Malaysian Open at the Royal Selangor Golf Club in Kuala Lumpur. My name's Julian Tutt, with me Warren Humphreys in the commentary box. Well, they finished the first round this morning. They're now only about 45 minutes behind schedule. We'll join the morning action. We've seen some great golf so far from the likes of Michael Campbell, enjoying another very pleasant morning, but there is the threat of more thunderstorms this afternoon. We'll keep our fingers crossed. Michael Campbell on the 8th, and he's going with a driver, which is a bold move, 409 yards. Try and move it round the dogleg. There's a bunker on the right-hand side, 266 to carry that. Most players prefer 3-wood at most, even an iron.
That's about a little bit further right, 286. Would have run out of fairway, but that's ideal for Campbell. As we go to the other side of the course, Levy on 17. I suppose we're so near to the centre of Kuala Lumpur here. I suppose it's a little bit like playing in Hyde Park if you were in London, or you know, Central Park if you were in New York. It's that close. Literally only 5 or 6 minutes from our hotel, which is in the centre of town, to the golf course, and that's in bad traffic conditions.
Fear not, it's not about to rain. Levy just trying to get some shelter underneath the umbrella. Miguel Martin.
422 yards, the 11th, and just let that get away from him.
Miguel Martin playing with new clubs. He was a Hogan player until fairly recently, but the Hogan clubs went missing. And he was on his way down to South Africa, and he's been dabbling with various others since then. This is Steen Tinning. short of the 16. So after that very good up and down save on the 17th, Andrew Pitts onto his final hole.
Need to hit a strong cut here, or perhaps aim it right and carry over the corner of the dog leg. Otherwise you do what Andrew's done there and run out of fairway, and that's going to leave him quite a long second shot. He'll either have to, I'm pretty sure he'll try and draw it around those trees.
Nick Fowler's in real danger here. 2 holes to go after this one. Missing the 7th green, and oh, woe is me.
Yes, I think that's a good night in terms of being here for the weekend. Campbell now to 8. That flag over on the right of the green. No, left of the green, sorry. As I say, it's one that he could certainly attack and almost bring it off the slope.
Padraig Harrington was just able to finish his round last night, one of the last to get in when they went out again after the rain. Finished up with a 70, now at 3 under. Feels that the swing is in pretty good shape. He's been working hard on that through the close season, but the game not very tight.
First birdie of the day came on the last hole for Arjun, but also going to be far too late to be of any use to him in this event, and I don't think he'll mind overly having got the victory last week. Perhaps just give him time to reflect and regroup before he carries on and plays his next European Tour title. Oh, doesn't like that. Amazing finish he had on that 17th hole last week, where he got the hole in one, just about the hardest hole on the course, and he played it in 3 under. Final 2 rounds, that was pretty good going. And that's a fine bunker shot from Martin on 11.
Last win for Martin was in the Moroccan Open in 1998 from memory, I think. And he beat David Park in a playoff. Park went on the next week to win at Slaley Hall. 99, in fact. Graham Fry, the former British High Commissioner, was a very keen amateur ornithologist, and he's a man who's made something of a list of the species to be found here at the course. And just from watching in his garden, listed over 100 different species.
So often you see that when someone leads greens in regulation, their putting statistics not so good because probably putting from further away and don't have too many real opportunities to hole anything. This might go down though as a 1 putt or a no putt. He pops this in from off the green. Okay, ornithologists are supposed to be a great place to come for people like Norman Wood and Maurice Bembridge, who now play on the Seniors Tour, 2 Ryder Cup players. They're very keen at bird watching, often seen on the Seniors Tour with their binoculars in the bag. Not for the golf, though.
Are they twitchers?
They are twitchers.
Not what you want to be as a golfer, really, is it?
I don't think that was from Thomas Levy, just a misread, maybe a misstrike. Thinking about a French win, you see, in the rugby. Would have been a 2, so just a par.
Eagle putt on the 6th for Jyoti Randhawa, playing alongside Padraig Harrington. Not quite. Back-to-back birdies. Now lives just outside Delhi. Grew up in the north of India, near Kashmir. Son of a brigadier general, and as a result is a very keen marksman, both with a rifle and with a shotgun. Likes to go and do a bit of duck hunting.
And won the Celtic Manor Wales Open a couple of years ago. Tinning missing out on a putt there. So difficult to read some of these greens. Bogey for Tinning, and it should be a par for Miguel if he can pop this one in. Pretty good out of sand saves when he won the Heineken Classic down in Perth in, when was it now, 97. Gosh, 5 years ago. It hardly seems that. Had a wonderful up and down to win that event.
Harrington to get to 5 under. Dave McNeely very inconsiderately dumping the bag right in our line of view. Harrington's very experienced and very good caddy. I think we can assume that was a birdie.
Well, hopefully a one-putt par coming up here for Michael. Maybe not, and maybe that's one of the reasons why 33 putts yesterday in the round. Unlike him to miss those, try to jam it in and take some of the break out. So that's an ugly way for him to finish his round. Couple of bogeys, and perhaps he can put things to right at the 9th.
Very unexpected, having gone out in 31, and he's now 5 off the pace. Anthony Kang, who lives in Las Vegas, been in America since he was 10 years old. He went out in 32 starting from the 10th and has had a birdie at the par 5 third to get it to 4 under for the round today. Mike Cunning, playing the course the right way round, was out in 32, that's 4 under, and then started back birdie. 6 under for the round, 8 under in total. Jyoti Randhawa getting out in 36, 1 over par. He's now had 3 birdies coming back.
Harrington to the 7th. Usually hits his irons with a draw, but looked to be setting up to try and cut that one in. And it did move right to left in the end. Seemed to be aiming a little bit left with the lower half, and top half almost aiming a little bit right.
Arjun Singh would like to imitate the man who bears the same name. Arjun Atwal, of course, winner last week. Fellow Indian. Just the 1 birdie going out in 35 from the first, but pretty impressive back 9 so far. Birdies at 11 and 12, double bogey 13, and then birdied 14 and 15. Miguel Martin enjoying a wonderful second round at 7 under through 11. Anthony Kang playing the course the other way round. Has played the back 9 in 32. 3 birdies, no drop shots. Could be dangerous for the tall American-based Kang. Takes a size 13 shoe. Big feet.
Big putt coming up for Pitts on 18. Over one of these large ridges in the middle of the green. Up and then down towards the hole, but pretty good second shot coming from the left-hand side of the course, drawing it around the tree.
Jyoti Randhawa on the 7th tee. Makes quite a big move into the ball, but clears nicely through it. Very powerful hitter. Hits his 3-wood a country mile. Recently acquired a 1000cc Yamaha, I think, or Honda throaty machine, which he thoroughly enjoys riding around Delhi.
And Michael Campbell just losing his concentration towards the end of the round, and maybe just a little bit hot in more ways than one, clattering into those trees, but getting a friendly bounce off one of the branches back onto the course. Quite a few strangler fig trees out here, which are very attractive with their air roots coming down into the ground.
Remarkable run for Arjun Singh. Takes him into share of 3rd place now at 8 under. Tremendous back 9. Shame about that double bogey 6.
Faldo to 8.
Having just bogeyed the 7th. It's a bit more like it, but I'm afraid he's not going to be here for the weekend. Well, if he is, he won't be playing. He visited here back end of last year for his sponsors. Just came on a corporate visit. Didn't play the course. First time he's played here. And he was so optimistic. He's had such a good start to the season. Things were looking good yesterday. Andrew Pitts with the 66, finishing at 7 under. Pretty tidy card, just the one bogey at the 9th. So Singh moving to within 4 of the lead with this extraordinary run on the back 9. Just the one birdie going out in 35 on what's definitely is the easier 9. Campbell at 7 under, seeming to be going backwards, certainly in a spot of bother. Just at the moment in the trees. And now 7 under on a good run on his back 9, the front 9 on the course here. Stephen Leaney from Australia, a man who tends to come into form in bursts and is very dominant when he finds good form. Normally seems to do well around Dutch Open time in the middle of the year. Mark Pilkington with a 69 today, the powerfully built young Welshman. Great broad shoulders. He's in at 4 under. We were talking last week about the fact that Nick Faldo, who for much of his career was a blade player, has now started using ping irons. He explained it to me a couple of days ago that in fact he did use pings early on in his career, shot a 61 or 62 at Sunningdale, and was reported afterwards, said the problem is they go too straight. Always a man who's like to manoeuvre the ball, not necessarily with the putter though. But he's decided now that with balls that are designed to fly straight and clubs that are designed to hit the ball straight, why keep banging your head against a wall? Use those clubs with those balls and basically aim to play straight. Although he still manoeuvre the ball a little bit, but rather less than he used to. Play more the percentage game. Hasn't worked today though.
Says something for his attitude though, doesn't it? 61 and 62 and then discard them. I think that you can actually do better with something else. Says something about the strength perhaps of his mind.
I think there's a new club contract coming up. He's getting big into course design, has been for some time, but putting his famous name to quite a lot of things. Jug and Jacket restaurants, and looks like there's a new club coming out with the Faldo name in the not too distant future. Miguel Martin, second shot to the 12th. 388-yard, slight dogleg right.
Not too far away from a 2, that was it. Beautiful shot. And a rather hot and ragged Michael Campbell coming up to the last hole for him today, the 9th. Fair way back, so clattering the trees certainly didn't do his chances of getting up the course any good, but he's on the putting surface, some way away. Very large greens here. A couple of pin positions today where the flag's nearly on 40 yards on a couple of them.
Just an 8, maybe even a 9-iron, even for some players, to this 17th. Just finding the putting surface. You don't have to miss it by very much, and you're down a steep slope to the left there, making it a pretty awkward up and down.
10th hole going away. Well, you can aim at, well, any one of a number of towers, depending on the swing.
Birdie attempt on the 7th for Jyoti Randhawa. It'd be a tap-in par 3 for him to remain at 7 under.
Randhawa, who missed the cut in this event last year, so putting that to rights quite nicely, as he's now inside the top 10.
Like Atwell, he tried to qualify for the PGA Tour at the school last year. Didn't get beyond the first stage. Bit of a flyer for Ricard Johnson to the 9th. That's the danger with this grass.
Yes, but did you hear the pitch? It sounded actually quite squelchy, so that water from yesterday's rain really not draining away, so would be normally target golf, and perhaps one of the reasons that had half a club more, trying to throw it all the way to that back flag. A little bit like the practice round today, with cloud being a little bit more overcast, just taking some of the heat away from direct sunshine on the back of the neck.
A lot of players either wearing damp towels or dousing themselves in water just to try and cool down a bit.
I think this man wants to try and cool down though, does he? And he is a particularly fine putter, and perhaps 29 putts tied 24th in those stats. Sometimes doesn't always reflect the way he puts when he gets warm with the short stick. Very fine exponent of putting, and has a good chance here. Down the slope, grain a little bit from right to left, and a good chance. Not one of his more aggressive putting strokes.
Arjun Singh having a wonderful back nine. Sadly, his playing partner, Mark James, is not finding any inspiration from that.
Quite a contrast to what he's been doing recently, skiing in the Dolomites, so coming from pretty cool weather to something very hot and humid. That's something pretty drastic to the system, I would think that. Ricard, having gone through the 9th green, facing another one of these awkward up and downs. Giving the old Phil Mickelson flop shot there, and playing it quite beautifully. Managing to get a lot of height with that shot, so the ball obviously lying relatively well for him.
Have you ever been to the Dolomites?
Not for skiing.
Beautiful pink mountains. Oh yeah, skied there lots, yeah. Stunning. In certain lights, the nature of the rock is actually, they'd really look pink in the sunlight. Wonderful part of Italy.
So I'm not sure that would probably worry Mark too much when he's skiing, but it might suit his wife Jane, also likes to ski. As Campbell puts up from the front of the 9th green.
He actually went to a place, I think, called Madonna di Campiglio. Probably like to hear from Madonna now. Yummy. Most unusual par for Arjun Singh on the back nine. Comes from New Delhi. Very tasty up and down to finish with for Ricard Johnson. That's around a 67. Good day's work.
So I'm sitting on the steps outside the clubhouse at Singapore with the result sheet and just checking down exactly how much he'd won. I think he's still in that early stage of his career. Well, that's still very important to him. And in the end, hard-earned par for Campbell on his final hole, the 9th.
And in the end, Campbell and Johnson ending up on the same score, and Campbell must have been thinking of much greater things after his outward 9. Mike Cunning up to 8 under. Out in 32, starting back birdie. 66 for Michael Campbell and Andrew Pitts, both in at 7 under. Ignacio Garrido dropped a shot starting back. Well, he made a birdie at the first, but then a bogey at the second, and just a par 5 at the third. So at the moment, not really capitalising on a good outward half. John Bickerton, starting from the first, has gone out in 33. 3 birdies, started back, birdie. Brace of threes. Starting back, so he's 5 under for the round. Thomas Levey proving it is a game of 2 halves, or a course of 2 halves here. 34 for the first 9, 2 under par, and then 9 straight pars for the second 9, a 69. Goes to Blanche, who had an eagle 3 at the par 5, the long par 5, 15th, 589. Went out in 34 and is on a good little birdie run coming back. Birdies at the 3rd, 4th and 6th. And he's done very well on the par 5s. He's had 2 birdies and an eagle on the par 5s today to be 4 under for his round. Ted Purdy played well last week, 68 today to be 3 under. Simon Dyson, the Englishman who cut his teeth after turning pro after a good amateur career, played in the winning Walker Cup side up at Nairn. Had 3 wins in Asia here when he won the Order of Merit 2 years ago. Finishing with a 70 today. The local Malaysian player, Sagaran, who came so close to winning the last time they played here at Royal Selangor in 1994, lost an 8-hole playoff. Originally 3-way, Frank Nobilo went after 6 holes, and then Joachim Hegman finally beat Gunnar on the 8th extra hole, the 15th as it happens. Roger Vessels at 2 under. Going out in 35, started bogey at the 1st and 2nd, but then had 3 birdies. 1 under for the round today. Not too much sunshine around for this second morning of the Carlsberg Malaysian Open, but it's still very hot and sticky. The threat of rain may be later on in the day. Nothing positive at the moment in that direction, but the warning is that it may be a similar day to yesterday. Miguel Angel Martin, the clubhouse, not the clubhouse, the leader out on the course after 12 holes at 12 under. Arjun Singh playing a magnificent back 9. Tee shot to the 18th, dogleg left to right and just about okay, not finding the fairway, but firing it over the trees down the right hand side.
Harrington's second shot to this, slight dogleg from right to left. Awkward little shot with the flag cut quite close to that bunker, so having to bring it over sand. Good control. 3 under for his round today, 4 under for the tournament. Handsomely inside the cut mark of probably 1 under.
Tall, very athletic figure of Jyoti Randhawa playing alongside Campbell. Finishing nicely. 1 bogey in an outward half of 36, but has already had 3 birdies coming back on the front 9. Miguel Martin, the leader. Second shot to the 488-yard par 4 13th. Normally a par 5, but it's been reduced to make this a par 71. And there's water on the left-hand side. He's okay, he's well past that. Looked as though he may have just turned it over a little. This is the worst green on the course in terms of condition. The rest of them are fine, but this one's a little bit strange.
Well, a little bit strange in terms of condition and also humps and hollows. I mean, Nick Fowler described it as 2 dead elephants that have been buried in there, but I think that's just the way that the course is designed. There's quite a few humps and hollows on these very large greens, and they all tend to slope from front to back, although that 13th is a little bit more like a mogul green.
Randhawa for birdie at the 8th. We've seen a mixture of golf so far this morning. Michael Campbell having a very impressive outward half of 31, starting from the 10th, the more difficult of the 2 9s, but then disappointing finish after finding 3 more birdies coming home, then dropping shots at 7 and 8. Still, it was a good round of 66, but it could have been better. He's in at 7 under. Nick Faldo has had an appalling day by his standards, or by anyone's standards really. That was a putt for bogey, so he's making double there. So very disappointing. I just can't think what's gone wrong today. He was full of enthusiasm for his form and the way things were going. Made such a good start to the season. Going out in 40, back in 39. And he will just have to retreat with his tail between his legs. Retire into his boots and fire through the lace holes.
At least he broke the barrier.
Just. Padraig Harrington to get it to 5 under.
Can't believe that. A man who tries 200% all the time. Not only on the golf course, but when he's practicing as well. Playing with clubs half an inch shorter this season than last. His caddy thought it was to help him improve his posture, but it's nothing to do with that. It's just more that he wanted to go back to having normal length clubs than ones that were half-inch longer.
He is trying to swing a little bit more upright as well, isn't he? He's been working with Bob Torrance down in Barbados for a couple of weeks in December to get back to a slightly more upright swing.
Singh coming from that right-hand semi. See if he can control the ball out of this broadleaf, wet leaf grass now. Oh, and he has, and that's an excellent shot. Though you'd have to say to this large green, it's not that a difficult target to hit, just a medium iron in the hand, 7 or 6 iron.
Jyoti Randhawa tapped in for his par at the 8th, so he's 7 under with 1 to go. The Las Vegan Anthony Kang with a degree in speech communication. Not quite sure what speech communication means, but he's got a degree in it. Sounds like tautology to me.
I suppose he came to fame at Southern Hills last year when he was the first Asian there to play all 4 rounds of the US Open. 74th he finished in the end, but I have to say it was a fine effort.
Plays under the Korean flag like Charlie Wee, but a long-time resident of the United States. Kang, that is, not Miguel Martin.
Eagle putt for the members, but just a birdie putt for Martin. But it does make a little bit of a difference.
Mike Cunning, 32 up, 3-3 start back, birdie. Second shot to the 16th, as most players are, laying up quite well back just to be a 4, maybe even a 5 iron off the tee. It's a short par 4, 345 yards, laying well back to give himself a full wedge or sand wedge in. It's a hole where they may well move the tee up at the weekend to give the players the option of having a crack at the green. Everyone's going quackers around here.
Obviously the heat's getting to you, Julian.
Mark James in characteristic pose, leaning on his putter in the right of the picture, watching Arjun Singh, who's performed splendidly today. It's actually quite a lot shorter, this course, by some 200 yards than the one they played last week. This is just 6,935 yards. But a greater selection of clubs, I think, required possibly this week than last. Quite a few holes here where they're taking 3-woods or even irons off tees on the par 4s. Playing for position, leaving themselves slightly longer shots in.
Yeah, this back nine up 100 yards longer than the front, but it has a couple of par 4s in the 460 marker, like this 18th, 462.
And a huge variety of second shots to be played here, depending how bold you are with the tee shot. Anything from a 6-iron to a wedge. Singh home in 32. Very impressive back nine, apart from the double bogey on the 13th. I wonder maybe he found the water there with his second shot, perhaps. Anyway, 67. And the clubhouse leader at 8 under. Miguel Martin tapped in for his par on the 13th, stays at 12 under. Got the latest intelligence on Kang. I know that last week when he appeared in Singapore, they managed to lose his clubs and shoes and clothes and everything else. He wasn't going to find it particularly easy to find another pair of size 13 golf shoes over here. Obviously, something has been found.
Form,
amongst other things, yeah.
putt up and over the ridge, and I suppose I should correct myself a little. Not the first Asian to play all 4 rounds in the US Open, but certainly the first Korean. Won the London Myanmar Open last year with a final round of 66. Won the event in the end with a 6 under par total. 6 under par coming in the final round, so a good late burst gave him a nice win over Charlie Wee.
Miguel Martin with a 7 Series BMW on offer if he can knock this in the hole. Not this time. The new 7 Series. The most advanced of the mark. Magnificent motor car. And we can only dream on. You're a BMW driver.
Yes, is that something wrong with that?
No, I was just thinking that was rather exciting. But yours is not quite the latest of the mark, is it?
There's actually no answer to that, is there?
Well, you haven't got GPS, satellite navigation, and a voice that tells you how to get from A to B via C. All those things. Television, hot and cold running water.
No. I've never really found much use for that, actually.
Talk to the moon. Or in your case, probably to the stars. Warren is speechless. He doesn't know where to go.
Trouble is, motor cars, they tend not to be my most favourite things, I'd have to say. That's why I probably worry about them less than most. Just a nice, useful way of getting from A to B. A nice, useful way for Kang to make another birdie on this, the shortest of the par 5s. No problem at all.
You're an IT freak, though, aren't you?
I like a little bit of that, a little bit like yourself. Actually, you've entered that in world, haven't you? Buying all sorts of cameras in Singapore.
Yeah, but I don't understand how they work.
Well, understand how they work, but I just like the way that you can use the technology.
Mike Cunning has made his par at the 16th to stay at 8 under, 4 behind Miguel Angel Martin. Anthony Kang getting in to within 1 of the lead now with 3 birdies in 4 holes. Phil Golding we haven't seen for a little while, but he's birdied the first and the third now, coming back in 3rd place at 9 under. Barry Lane, one of the afternoon starters, the joint overnight leader at 8 under par. Garrido 1 under for his round today still at 7 under. Des Blanche has had a nice run of 3 birdies in 4 holes from the 3rd. 4 under for the round. A 1 under 70 for Ramiro today. Roderick Harrington, 2nd to the 9th.
Good control again of the length of that shot from Harrington. Always a sign that a player's swing is under control if they can keep on hitting the ball hole high.
No, this is a qualifier for the World Cup. There is a World Cup going on here in Kuala Lumpur at the moment, the Hockey World Cup. Big match tomorrow night in the main stadium, Malaysia against England. Could be a crunch game for both sides.
Not sure I'd want to be a footballer or a hockey player or any sportsman in this part of the world where you actually have to run around a lot.
No, I mean, the hockey guys are so fit and it's such a fast game now. Grass hockey, of course, we're talking about. Although it's played on an artificial grass surface nowadays, but that must get very hot and sweaty.
Must lose a stone a game.
Miguel Martin leading by 1 from Anthony Kang. Martin 12 under, Kang 11 under, Philip Golding at 9 under. Jyoti Randhawa 7 under. On his final hole. Taking great encouragement from his colleague and friend's win last week. Arjun Atwal's big news in India. Just talking about the Hockey World Cup taking place here. Of course, India are playing. Hockey used to be a huge sport in India, just about the main national sport. Less so now. They're much more into cricket, which Jyoti played as a youngster. And golf is catching on fast. Not his very best, but good chance of saving par.
Nice par 3 this, across a little valley to a plateau green, and Cunning out with just a 9-iron. Pretty good shot. Always good to keep it below the hole here if you can, as it's a pretty severe slope from front to back.
No birdies for Martin so far on the back nine, and he maintains that record.
Hasn't led on the European Tour at the end of a round since he won in Morocco back in '99, so he's a little bit in uncharted waters again, so bound to be feeling a little bit edgy, having gone out in 29 and seen his name at the top of the leaderboard, but at the moment it's all steady stuff coming home.
Anthony Kang to the par 3 7th. Very long putt for birdie. Kang, from where he is there, will be quite happy to get down in 2 and remain 1 behind Martin, the leader, at 12 under. Arizonan Mike Cunning, 4 behind with a couple to go. This is Podrick Harrington, though.
Just missed the birdie opportunity on the previous hole. Can he make use of it here on his last? He can. Getting a habit of holding out on the last green. Of course, hold out quite beautifully at Monte Castillo to win the Volvo Masters at the end of last season. Very important putt for him, and there's the smile to go with the 67. 67 with 3 drop shots, so Harrington starting to warm up nicely.
In more ways than one, judging from his shirt. Continues to be very sticky. Randhawa for his par out of the bunker. Plans to go back to the PGA Tour School again at the end of this year. His father was a cavalryman in tanks in the Indian Army, now retired as a brigadier general.
Bit of a swing change for him last year and affected his form, Randhawa, so good to see him back on the top of the leaderboard. Second in the Asian Order of Merit a couple of years ago.
Disappointing finish though with the bogey, leaves him at 6 under. Glorious setting here at the Royal Selangor Golf Club in the middle of Kuala Lumpur. Selangor is actually one of the 14 provinces or states here, and we're not now actually in Selangor, in the Klang Valley, part of the Federal Territory. But Miguel Angel Martin enjoying a marvellous second day, 7 under for the round, 7 under on the first 9, pars all the way so far coming back. The Twin Towers dominating the scene even more than Martin.
Two rather angry looking clouds in the distance. Let's hope they keep their distance, keep away from the course today.
Anthony Kang lagging up nicely on the par 3 7th, having missed the flag by a goodly distance. And if he makes that, it will keep him at 11 under and just 1 behind Miguel Martin.
Good news for playing partner Mark Mooland, who's just coming off an eagle to move to 1 under for the tournament, playing alongside Kang.
Mike Cunning on the 17th. Good effort. Will remain 6 under for the round, 8 under for the tournament.
It may be warm out there, but still keeping the long shirt-sleeved golf shirt on. Garrido playing to the par 5-6. Father Antonio Garrido, ex-Ryder Cup player, on the bag caddying for him this week. And there they are, father and son, a couple of Ryder Cuppers together. And it's good to see that Antonio's got the long trousers on today, because he had the shorts the last couple of days, and the legs are looking very red.
He should know better.
Antonio plays on the seniors tour, also does a little bit of coaching. Used to, or partly coaches now, Garrido's girlfriend Sam Head. She's down in Australia at the moment. And of course, Ignacio last season in Sun City carried for Sam when she won the event out in Africa, and don't think that she would actually caddy for Ignacio in one of the tournaments. His long-time caddy Chi Hoon, who's a taekwondo expert like himself, has gone off to play the Challenge Tour, so it'll be a new caddy for Ignacio later on this season.
18th hole, you hit the tee shot across water. The water doesn't come into play at all, it's only just in front of the tee. Chris Hannell on the 18th. Another of the Swedes with a strong American bent. Went to university over in Arizona. Water doesn't come into play, but the trees do on both right and left. You have to either work it round the trees on the right hand side or hit over, either with a 3-wood or driver. And now safely in the middle of the fairway. Nice 2-putt for Kang on the 7th. Gets a lot of wear, the two courses here at Royal Selangor. 150,000 rounds a year they have. On the old and the new. It's the old that we're on here. Martin at 12 under leads Kang by 1. Jotty Randauer slipping at the last with a 70. Harrington putting himself in a position where he could make a charge at the weekend with that 67. Nice finish for him. Army Carlin and Ricardo Gonzalez both going out this afternoon. Will be starting the day at 6 under. Joachim Hegman, the man who won on this course in the Malaysian Open in 1994, a 65 today. Of course, it wasn't then part of the European Tour. This is only the 4th year that it's been a co-sanctioned event between the Davidoff Tour and the European Tour. Mike Cunning on the 18th. It's a pretty narrow bit of fairway to find here. It's very easy to run out to the far side. Cunning doing it well.
Over on the 6th, Garrido, eagle attempt. Perhaps if this man does have a weakness with his game, it's probably more with the putter. Well, he's made a few modifications to his swing coming out this season. And he's rather hoping that's going to produce a little bit better form. Seemed to pick that one up quite a long way on the backswing and quite high, but straight into the bottom of the hole. So birdie eagle, little burst for Garrido, and he moves to 10 under.
Very fit guy with all the martial art work that he does. And fitness is important when you're playing in this climate.
He has a wonderful collection of spiders too, doesn't he? Quite a strange mix, I suppose. Got over 400 species in cases. It takes a rare find to add to it.
You'd think there might be one or two out here, though. All sorts of creepy crawlies out here. Don't want to stray too far off the fairway. They found a 20-foot king cobra here the other day. And depending on how many beers you've had recently, there's a huge python knocking around as well. Either the side of an arm or size of a leg. Miguel Angel Martin from Spain leads at 12 under from Anthony Kang 11 under, and another Spaniard, Ignacio Garrido, now with birdie eagle at the 5th and 6th, now at 10 under.
I think you're going to see a lot this week, players walking down the fairway, slowly sipping the water so it gets assimilated into the system. Can't afford to wait till you start feeling thirsty. Have to take an awful lot on board. And that's a nice scorecard, nicely balanced scorecard for Kang, and he looks pretty relaxed out there. Obviously used to the heat, not trying to walk down the sides of the fairways, trying to find some shade down the middle of the fairway. Not perhaps in the mode of a Peter Thompson, who'd find any sort of shade that he could, the great maestro who won 5 Open championships. Problems on 15 for leader Martin. Just probably going to call for a ruling. Question whether he gets a drop from the path. Obviously not wanting to take any chances while he's out in front.
Ignacio Garrido starting back on the front 9, 3-5-5, 3-3-3, and those last threes have been par, birdie, eagle. Got him to 4 under for the round, 10 under for the tournament. Seen a few problems here on this 7th hole.
Only slightly built, but like Garrido, tying greens in regulation this week. So the new swing change which he's made to his game, which he's keeping pretty quiet about, not trying to let on too much about what he's doing, but rather hoping that it's going to work. Always does swing fairly briskly, and it's been some time since he's won on tour. 97 and the German Open. Long been overdue a second win, and of course it nearly came in 98 with the British Masters, but was penalised 4 shots for carrying an extra club in the bag, and in the end lost out to Colin Montgomery by 2. So he's had his chances, he's been near, not quite managed to see it through.
Mike Cunning to the final green. Flag fluttering a bit more briskly now. Maybe a little bit of wind getting up underneath the building clouds. Martin's ball.
Martin gets that sorted out on 15 on the other side of the course on this dogleg right to left hole. Kang Slow, deliberate rhythm there, and fairly wide. Just a short iron coming in, and perhaps would have liked that a little closer.
It's the only place I can get the signal out of.
He's obviously getting a free drop away there. Is it because his stance was on the path there, do you think? Is that an immovable obstruction? Going to the nearest point of relief anyway. All seems set now. Slightly in the dark there as to what that was all about. We might get information from the course in a moment.
Gone through this par 5 in regulation number of shots. Taken quite a long time to take the drop. It was actually perched up on a bit of that cow grass, so it has to be careful not to go underneath this. Maybe in the end a very useful drop that he got there. Certainly wouldn't have been able to play that shot from where it ended up. So maybe just a little bit of luck going Martin's way.
Stephen leaning onto his final hole, the 9th. One birdie going out in 34. 3 birdies so far coming back.
Currently 41st on the Volvo Order of Merit. Reasonable start to the season for him. 6th in the Heineken Classic and 10th last week in Singapore.
Nice touch from Cunning. Should be a 4 to finish. And he will have played 18 holes without dropping a shot as well.
Almost going to putt across the width of the green here, Garrido, on 7, the par 3.
Very similar putt to the one we saw Anthony Kang with a moment ago. Left it 3.5 feet or so short.
I suppose the green here a little bit more consistent last week in the way it grows in one direction. It certainly proved problematical there for Ignacio. Left himself a horrible one for his second putt. So in the end, good up and down. But I think you'd like to see a red figure on that back 9. Suddenly put the brakes on after playing so well going out.
Kang to join Martin. Good effort. I wonder if he's a gambler living in Las Vegas. You'd think he might be.
Looking down there to the just about the left edge of your screen is the 15th, a par 5 that goes away up towards the top of the course, longest of the par 5s. And there is water away on the left. It's one of those holes that you can stand up and give it a bit of a belt.
Great thing about these twin tires is the way they change throughout the day. Early in the morning with the sun on them, first thing in the morning, you get a spectacular reflection, very special sort of light, and then it changes during the day, and then of course at night they're beautifully lit up.
Like a chandelier, isn't it, at night? So Cunning taps in. .38th last week at Laguna National. Didn't have a happy weekend, 77-74, so that's 65 today. Really going to put him back in the driving seat to perhaps record his best finish so far in this season's European Tour. Garrido, left to right, up, straight up into the grain. Has to be positive with this one. Can't afford to dribble it. Ooh. And that's it. Sometimes that's been the problem with Ignacio and trying to keep the form going. Putter just doesn't behave as well as it ought to.
Arjun Singh in with a 67. Mike Cunning now just finishing a fine round of golf, no drop shots with a 65. Phil Golding still going well, 9 under 312, playing the easier 9 coming home. Forsyth and Barry Lane will be starting fairly shortly at 8 under, but it's still Martin leading by 1 at 12 under. Richard Johnson pulling himself into contention with a 67, as did Campbell with a 66, although in the end a little disappointing, couple of drop shots at the end. And Dower finishing with a bogey as well for his 70. So Ishigaki 3 under for his round today with holes 8 and 9 to go. Harmeet Karlan had a lovely round yesterday, starting with a 6 under. I wonder if we're seeing Indian players featuring quite a lot here. I wonder if they've gained inspiration from Atwell's win last week.
I'm sure they have. The more they see players get to the top of the leaderboard, and they think, well, if Arjun can do it, and Jeev, and there's no reason why we can't.
Jeev Milkha Singh incidentally had to withdraw from his round yesterday with a shoulder injury. He has been so blighted with injuries. It's extraordinary how some players seem to, I suppose it's true in any sport really, but golf you wouldn't expect it quite so much, a non-contact sport, but some players seem to really suffer.
One man who just had to pull out before the tournament started, David Howell. Bizarre incident with him, got on the plane feeling all right and got off the plane just an hour down the way from Singapore, and his whole arm had almost seized up, so he didn't hit a shot in anger at all, and I've got to hope that he's fighting fit for Dubai next week, place where he's won.
Leaney coming to the end of his round. 4 birdies, no drops. Chance for a birdie at the 9th, his last. Just coming up behind him, Anthony Kang.
Lovely, lazy, slow swing there. Plenty of time, waited for the impact. Garrido to have the 3-wood out, the metal 3-wood, trying to turn it from right to left down the dog leg. It's almost his natural shape would draw, and that's perfect.
Very thoughtful individual, isn't he, Garrido? I know you've done a bit of work with him in the past on the mental side.
Well, I don't think he needs too much work because he has a taekwondo master that he goes to that I suppose teaches him the physical discipline as well as some mental ones as well. Oh, that's a horrid lie on 16 for Martin, sitting in a little sandy divot. Flag today, 31 paces up the green over on the left, and doesn't sound the greatest contact that. But the result is all right. 345 yards, the 16th. Equal shortest hole on the course with the 5th. That's a hole when they stand on the tee. They're certainly looking to try and make threes.
Rather like yesterday, it depends which way you look as to the impression you get on the weather. Blue sky in places, but some fairly threatening clouds as well. Miguel Martin keeping cool, still leading by 1 at 12 up, 12 under. Chance for a birdie on the 16th after an awkward lie on the fairway coming out of a sandy divot.
Yeah, Wei led at the halfway stage of the Hong Kong Open at 13 under. That's the lowest halfway total, so Miguel, if he wants to equal that, needs one more birdie. Par 71 both in Hong Kong and here.
Stephen Meaney's birdie putt ended up 2.5 feet away. He's got this to finish off with no drop shots. Actually, if anything, a little bit less than that. For a man who, for many years, used the old traditional putter, I see he's got the new 2-ball Odyssey putter. Putted with a bullseye for a long time.
Yeah, he's missed his tour card at the qualifying school in the United States for the last couple of years, and I think that's his goal, wanting to play on that circuit if he can. In the meantime, he's plying his trade and doing it very well in Europe.
Very accurate in terms of greens in regulation hit yesterday. That will count as a green missed, although he'll almost certainly putt it from there.
Just not sure whether he knows where that's finished. It may just have gone over just a little ridge there at the back of the green. Just checking his yardage to see how the ball is flying. I suppose that's one of the things I notice a lot out on tour, is the way caddies keep notes of what their players have done, not only how far they've hit it, but what club they've used, where it pitched on the green, how far up the green it pitched. You almost need a computer these days to keep track of how the players perform, but most of the caddies out there know their men pretty well. I suppose one man who knows player better than most, Peter Coleman. Probably does more research on Bernhard Langer's game than any other caddy I know. Bernhard's always sending him down the range, just keeping a track on for exactly how far the German player's hitting it.
It's interesting here, talking in terms of how far the ball goes, because with the heat, you expect the ball to fly further, and I think it does because of that heat, but also you get quite a heavy atmosphere with this intense humidity, which tends to bring it back a bit.
So you subtract the first number you thought of away from the one you've got and
End up with what you had before.
Yes. Oh, he's done it at last, and that's a good birdie considering where his ball finished on the fairway in that little divot. And the breakthrough. So he moves to 13 under, couple clear. I wonder whether he can make one more birdie and set the best halfway total of the season so far.
Garrido having just 3-putted the 7th. Third bogey of the day.
Do like the way he tacks the ball through the impact area. He's so strong and aggressive. I'm sure that's his taekwondo skills.
A long shot at the bridge that joins the two twin towers at 44th floor, I think, something like that. About halfway up, anyway.
42nd, I think.
42nd, is it? 88 floors in all. Over 450 metres high at the very top.
Is one taller than the other?
Pass. Can I take one on geography? Why do you think it might be?
Just from various angles. I just was wondering whether one was shorter than the other, but perhaps we'll know
that's
before the end of
parallax.
the week. Yeah.
I'm sure somebody knows, and they might ring in and tell us, you never know. It's extraordinary, you know, they've got 6,000 members here, and they haven't taken in a new member since 1985. The list has been closed since then, other than children of current members. So the only way you can get in now is if you're born into the right family.
Amazing. Does that make it a fairly old membership?
Yes, 60% are over 50.
Well, Tom Verity has been a member here, what, 71 years? Or associated with the course, is it?
He's been a PGA Pro for 71 years. Started out here, and yeah, probably about that sort of time, in the early 30s.
Martin to the 17th, coming off the birdie on 16, and that's a good place to hit it. And it's a strange little green, this, because some of the other holes here are massive targets to aim at, and suddenly you come to a small one, and although I suppose by normal standards it's a large green, because compared to the others it looks small, it suddenly becomes a bit more of a difficult proposition.
Ian Woosnam has just started his second round and has started well. Par at the first, birdies at the second and third to go to 5 under. Gunasaгаran, the local Malaysian player, has had a 68 today. He's in at 4 under. But Martin with the birdie at the 16th, 2 ahead once again. Haven't heard anything of Phil Golding for a while, who seems to have been stuck on the 4th for undue amount of time. I think we're due an update there. Was out in 33, started back birdie par birdie to be 9 under. Golding, in fact, has reached the 6th green and has this putt for a birdie. We're not just sure at the moment what he scored on the 4th and 5th, but we'll update that as soon as possible. Didn't win on the Challenge Tour last year, but had lots of top 10s that enabled to finish him to finish in 3rd spot. Ignacio Garrido on the 8th, his penultimate hole. Great chance to go to 10 under.
I wonder what's going to prove stronger here, slope or grain. Grain left to right, slope the other way. Oh, and it was slope. Well, he aimed it on that side. A little unlucky there. 2 good shots. It's a good opportunity to get into double figures under par, so he's just got to keep cool for one more hole.
Anthony Kang for a round of 65. Beautifully done. Another man who's got round without dropping a shot. And in 2nd place on his own at 11 under.
Looks to be on the whole a little bit lower today than yesterday for the 1st round, and I suppose a lot of that's got to have come from the rain that's made it a little bit more target golf, taken some of the fire out of the fairways and enabled the players to be a little bit more direct in being able to fire at these flags. And really, unless you get it fairly close on these grainy greens, birdies though still difficult to come by. There's a real chance for Martin, but an outside one.
That's called hedging your bets, I think, or sitting on the fence.
Well, no, just because it's uphill, you know, 25 feet, although it was coming across the green, better chance that than coming from the top side down grain and across the slope. So he had some margin there going his way.
Needs a birdie at the last to set a new course record. So 2 63s yesterday from Anthony Forsyth and Barry Lane. The previous course record was also a 63 shot by Stuart Ginn back in 1977, but that was when it was a par 72. One of those esoteric sort of questions where the course hasn't changed at all, but you've just changed one hole from a par 5 into a par 4, which is what they've done. So it's now par 71 instead of par 72. Does the course record change? I mean, a 63 is a 63, isn't it? Whether it's 8 or 9 under.
Yes, I think when I asked John Paramore what the definition of having to change, it has to be a material change, but he didn't actually say to me what material meant. A big enough change. Garrido on 9. 3 wood again. And does Barry Lane hold the course record, as he was the first one in? And Andy Forsyth ties the course record. More questions.
Matter of huge consequence, which we will dwell over at great length. Well, he's gone par on the last 3 holes, Phil Golding, so he stayed at 9 under. And he's found that bunker 9 yards or so short of the green. Not leaving himself the easiest of shots, particularly if it's plugged, which it may have done in there. Golding alongside Garrido at 9 under. Kang, the new clubhouse leader, after that lovely 65. A number of players continuing their good form of last week. Mike Cunning, one of them, a 65 today. '67s for Podrick Harrington and Des to Blanche. Roger Vessels has had a 69 today. He's in at 3 under. Woosnam making a lovely start to the round today. 2 birdies in the first 3 holes, now at 5 under. Nick O'Hearn, the man who led the first 2 rounds last week, opened up with a 64. Just 1 shot off the lead going to the final round and fell away. Level past 71 for him at 4 under. Gunnar the defeated man in '94, had a splendid first 9 today. 5 at the first, but then 4 birdies in the last 5 holes, playing the front 9 in 33, a 68 in total. Carlos Rodriguez, another man who played well last week. He opened up with a 67, yet to start his second round. Gary Rusnak had a 70 yesterday. He's had a birdie at the 12th, his 3rd hole.
Hopefully final good drive coming up for Miguel on 18. Just overcut it a little, but that should be just about okay. A little bit further right and he would have been blocked out by those tall trees. But no problems there for him. And there's just a sign of someone that being a little bit more anxious. Normally that would be okay. You wouldn't worry about it too much, but as you're leading the tournament, you just want to know a little bit more about where that's finished. fourth hardest hole. 45 bogeys on it, 20 birdies. Not easy to come by a red figure.
By a nice coincidence, the two Spaniards are finishing their rounds but on opposing sides of the course. Garrido, fine approach to the ninth. Garrido and girlfriend Sam are based in Madrid now. Gorgeous city that is too. Can't see what the lie is like in the bunker on the 7th for Phil Golding.
Three top 20s so far on the 2002 season for him. Missed the cut in the ANZ, the modified Stableford event, but all the other stroke play events he's managed to make the cut and play quite steadily.
I think that may just have been sitting down a bit. Looked as though he had to go digging for it a little. How wonderful it would be for him if he could actually play a season on the tour and keep his card at the end of it. Hasn't happened yet.
Well, the way he started, it should bode well. Needs a bit more cash. Only won £27,000 from the 6 events, and you know you're going to need over 100,000. So he's got some way to go. He may just be a little bit blocked out. I thought he was a fraction further left, more towards the fairway. Let the drive drift a little bit more than I first thought, so might have to watch out for the overhanging branches, but there's certainly plenty of room out there. Nothing there really to worry him. They're mostly air anyway, theoretically.
It's funny how often you find the 10%, isn't it?
Now, he's bound to be feeling a little bit pepped up. He's bound to be feeling a little bit more adrenaline in this system because he's not led for a while, so might just have to guard against getting this one a little sharp and getting the flyer. So he needs this to be fairly smooth.
It's a very crumpled green, the 18th. Slightly raised and lots of humps and hollows. Massive greens here for the most part. A lot of them are over 40 yards deep. Golding to stay at 9 under. Good up and down.
In the top 30 for sand saves in the few events that he played on tour last year, so normally pretty good out of bunkers.
Sushi. If he gets birdie, he'll give us a rain dance. No. He's a real character on the tour from Japan, who has always given it a little bit of a dance when he gets a birdie, just one of those things, he says. He gave it a real war dance when he made birdie on the last week.
Tend to be getting a little bit more threatening looking, those clouds, as Garrido tries to make a birdie on the last hole. 85th in putts per green in regulation last season, and he was outside the top 100 for putts hold. And he'd like to finish with a 3 here if he could, and it's a good chance. And well taken. Makes up for the perhaps disappointment of 3-putting 7 a little earlier. Round in 67.
He's got the golfer's tan. So many men who spend so much time out in the sun have nicely tanned lower face, but then when they take the headgear off, the forehead is still pretty white. And you often can tell a golfer as well without too much Sherlock Holmes intelligence just by looking at the hands, and the right hand is brown and the left hand is still quite white where the glove has been on.
And if you're a left-hander?
Okay, then you can do an even bigger Sherlock Holmes job and say he's a left-handed golfer. There seems to be a growing number of left-handers playing the game now at the professional level.
A lot of those left-handers are Australian.
True. New young American we spotted this week, Edward Law, from Oklahoma State University. He's left-handed. There's another new chap on the European Tour this year, Chris Gain, comes through the Challenge Tour.
Always had a little bit of a reputation, I think, Miguel, of being one of the more deliberate players on tour. Good cause to perhaps take an extra few seconds with this final birdie attempt. Down into the hollow. 3/4 of the journey on some high ground, and then down into the dip there. Oh, it's a good chance. And just shy half an inch.
So in it goes for a round of 63, and he equals the course record established by Barry Lane and Alistair Forsyth yesterday. Impressive, starting from the first, getting out in 29, the one birdie coming home. No drop shots. And he leads by 2 from Anthony Kang, and 3 clear of his fellow countryman Ignacio Garrido. So that was the morning's action. Things have moved on a little since then. Sadly, because we only have another 15 minutes or so of our scheduled broadcast, unable to see the favoured players home this afternoon. And the other problem is the weather. Just at the moment, I think we're probably okay. We had a few little crashes of thunder a few moments ago, and it looked as though there was a big storm coming in. But it appears that may just have retreated again, and whilst there's a bit of rain in the air, I think we're okay. Because of course it was the delay yesterday that's caused the problems today. Being 45 minutes later means that the main players we were hoping to see finish, we won't see finish. But provided there is no further rain interruption this afternoon, they will complete the second round comfortably. And we'll be back on schedule for the weekend. I think in the whole the players have coped admirably with the very difficult conditions. Well, now well into the afternoon and foul weather threatening, but it's holding at bay at the moment. So let's bring you up to date with what's been happening this afternoon. And Alistair Forsyth, joint overnight leader. This birdie putt at the 16th. Been playing quite beautifully this afternoon. That was his second birdie of the day, having made a birdie at the 12th. A fine approach to the 18th. Really struggled in the conditions yesterday, but this is his birdie putt at the 18th. Misses it to go out in 33, but starts back. Birdie, birdie, birdie. So now alongside Miguel Martin at 13 under. Struggled with the conditions yesterday, shot a superb 63, despite the fact he said he was feeling dreadful. Just made a par at the 4th.
Not much has gone right for Barry Lane today following the 63, but he did make that par putt on the 18th to be out in 37. Couple over, but good news for Barry, who's made a couple of birdies on his front 9, 3 and 5.
Ricardo Gonzalez, third shot at the 14th. 2 birdies, going out in 34. Comfortably rescuing his par there, having made a bogey at the 13th. He's 1 under today, 7 under for the tournament.
Woosnam's had trouble with the putter for the last couple of weeks, and one slipping past there on the 13th. He was out in 34, so better news today. 3 birdies, 1 bogey going out in a half of 34. Dropped a shot on 11. But maybe things starting to turn his way when he came to the 15th. Starting to find a little bit of form. He's been blocking a few shots to the right. Well, that putt beautifully struck on the 15th, and that gets him to 2 under today, 5 under for the tournament.
Yama Sandlin was out in 35 starting at the 1st. This was for birdie at the 12th. He'd made a bogey at the 10th to take him back to level par for the day. Gets him under par. Man who wears his own designer clothing, exhibiting the 2002 season wear. Tee shot at the par 3 14th, where the BMW's on offer, 209 yarder. Came very close to getting a hole in one in Hong Kong to win a car. He made the birdie putt there, and he's made another one at the 15th as well to get him to 5 under.
Hard to believe it's 7 years since Alex Chaker has won on tour. He won the Volvo Masters, but he's going along pretty well today. Chaker out in 32, and he started back with birdies at 10 and 12. 6 under for the round and 9 under for the tournament.
Dutchman Martin Lefebvre started from the 10th. Birdie 2 at the 14th. Only a 5 at the par 5 15th. This was his second to the 18th. Very nearly in the hole. Tapped in for his 3 to be out in 33, 2 under. And he's 7 under for the tournament after 9. Well, this nasty weather is all around us. I think there's a real danger of them being pulled off before the end of play today.
And the temperature and the humidity hasn't dropped at all day, and I suppose they've been quite fortunate, and thankfully, in terms of the European Tour scheduling for the rest of this event, at least they've most of the players now are well underway. Some still have 9 to play, but even if they do get a little bit of rain today, they should be able to be on track for tomorrow. Cut at the moment looking like it's going to be 1 under par, and it's been that way for most of the afternoon. And it's going to be just inside 80 players probably that will make the cut.
Because of the 45-minute delay overnight, we won't be able to see the end of play in our scheduled broadcast today. So let's just check out the leaderboard as it stands right now. Miguel Martin, we saw it earlier on with the 63. Alistair Forsyth also at 13 under after 13. We saw Anthony Kang's 65. Philip Golding finished off with a 67. Parred the last. Alex Checker is there at 9 under through 12. Started back very well. Hasn't dropped a shot so far today. 3-4-3 started back. Birdie par birdie. We saw the 67s of Leany and Singh and 65 of Mike Cunning. Barry Lane, overnight leader, was out in 37 with 2 bogeys, but has started to pick up shots coming back. Has had birdies at the 3rd and the 5th, which he has just completed. Back to level par for the day.
Slightly disappointing performance from Michael Campbell, finishing off his round having started at the 10th. Campbell out in 31, but bogeys at 7 and 8, just halting his progress, but an excellent round of 66.
Gonzalez, the 2 birdies, going out in 34. A bogey 5 at the 13th and just a par 5 at the 15th, which for a man of his length would be disappointing. Thailand's Pride Mark Sang, one of the leading Davidoff Tour players, at 6 under.
Carlos Rodias going along quite nicely to the turn, out in 33 thanks to an eagle, a birdie, par birdie spurt in the middle of the front 9, but a couple of bogeys around 9 and 10.
Mark Sang, incidentally, finished with 4 straight birdies on the back 9. 15, 16, 17 and 18 to go out in 31. The men out there this afternoon, Zhang Lianwei, Chinese number 1, 5 under through 17. Started from the 1st, was out in 34, dropped a shot at the 9th. It's had a birdie and a bogey coming back. Woosnam, we've updated you on already. Also Yarmo Sandlin. Andrew Coulthard at 5 under through 15. Looked as though it was going to be rather better than that when he went out in 32 and had a birdie at the 10th as well, but then bogeyed 11 and 12 and has only had a par 5 at the 15th.
Good news for Warren Bennett today, no bogeys on his card. Bennett out in 34 with a couple of birdies, and so far all pars coming home, and having missed the cut last week, he'll be glad for 4 days work here in Malaysia.
All these men in at 4 under, safely making the cut. A 1 over 72 for Taiwan Vurachant today. Gunasagaran, the Malaysian who came so close to winning the Malaysian Open in '94, the first local man to do so he would have been, is in there with a shout there at the weekend.
Anders Hansen, who makes a plethora of birdies normally, he's gone out in 36, no birdies on that 9, but 1 birdie and an eagle on his second 9, getting him to 4 under.
Roger Vessels, 69. Bogey start, going out in 35, coming home in 34. First tournament after a little break at home in Johannesburg, where he's just taken delivery of the new house. Yeah, you might see, winner of the Malaysian Open a couple of years ago. 72 for him.
Mark Mouland heading the way for those players who are on the mark at 1 under par. Looks to be the halfway cut mark.
There was the left-hander I was talking about a bit earlier on, Chris Gain at 2 under after 12.
Jean van der Velde's just had a triple bogey 7 on his back 9, or a double bogey 7 on the back 9. Moved to the cut line.
South African-based Englishman Chris Williams in there at 1 under. Charlie Wee flirting with it as well, 1 under after 14.
And it should be a happy day for him because Charlie Wee's his 30th birthday today.
Devon Botes, 1 under after 14. A less happy South African will be Justin Hobday, 73 today to miss the cut. James Kingston too, missing with a 70.
Surprising Richard Green not going to be here for the weekend.
And unless Tongchai Jaidi can produce a little bit of magic on the last hole, it looks as though he's going to miss the cut. And in fact, we just got in that he's had a birdie 3 at the last to get to 1 under, so it looks as though Jaidi is there. Apparently hold a huge putt from the edge of the green. Well done, Jaidi. Mark James has come a long way from the snow to miss the cut with a 69.
And all these players still with a few holes to go, apart from Jim Johnson, who will need to make a few birdies if they want to be on the cut market of 1 under.
Jim Johnson, who came so close to winning last week, had his chances, just made a mess right at the very end and missing the cut here.
Tony Johnson, who gave up smoking a couple of weeks ago, may be finding his nerves a little frayed at a couple over.
Hendrik Berman, I'm afraid, is not going to make it unless he can find something rather special in the closing holes. Ditto Tom Gillis from the United States, back after problems with viruses.
Yes, I know Eileen and Chuck Gillis will be watching, so it'll be sad news for them, but I'm sure Tom will start to get used to this heat shortly.
Of course, all these guys have still got a chance if they can find something. Ariel Risman, Malaysian, who was given an invitation to play here, 4 over after 11.
79 by Faldo, said after his round that he felt like jelly, obviously really suffering badly from the heat and was just basically unwell all day.
Arjun Atwell, 75, 7 over, bit of a come down for the man who won last week. So, coming to the end of our coverage, not the end of the day's play, but I hope you'll join us for what looks to be an intriguing weekend. But from the Carlsberg Malaysian Open and from Warren Humphreys and me, Julian Tutt, bye for now.